What if I told you that there is a story so influential and good that the biggest anime of last decade, Attack on Titan, was inspired by it? I am of course talking about the Muv-Luv series. Now, if you've never heard of Muv-Luv before, that's exactly why I'm making this video, because this series deserves to be talked about way more than it is in the West. And if you've heard about it, you already know what I'm about to say. Muv-Luv is not just a visual novel, it is arguably the greatest story ever told in the medium. It has a passionate fan base that has been saying this for over 20 years now. It has influenced countless creators, manga artists, and anime directors, and yet outside of hardcore visual novel communities, barely anyone knows it exists. So today I want to change that. Let me walk you through what Muv-Luv actually is, what makes it so special, and why by the end of this video you're going to want to read it.
大地に眠る者たちの声を聞け。バイバイ。海に果てた者たちの声を聞け。バイバイ。バイバイおばちゃん。父様。バイバイ。空に散った者たちの声を聞け。彼らの悲願に報いる時が来た。バイバイじゃないよ。
Muv-Luv is a trilogy of visual novels developed by a Japanese studio called Age, written by Koki Yoshimune. The first two parts, simply titled Muv-Luv Extra and Muv-Luv Unlimited, were originally released in 2003. The third and final part, Muv-Luv Alternative, came out in 2006. For the longest time, these games were Japanese exclusives. Western fans had to rely on fan translations for years. It wasn't until 2016 that the series finally got an official English release, and even then it didn't make mainstream waves. But in Japan, this series is legendary. Muv-Luv Alternative consistently ranks as the #1 visual novel of all time on almost every major ranking site. It has held that position for nearly 2 decades. That is not an accident. Now, the reason this trilogy is so brilliant and why it has fooled and moved so many readers comes down to one thing: structure. The three games are designed to be experienced in order, and the way they build on each other is unlike anything else in fiction. The story begins with our protagonist Shirogane Takeru. He is a typical high school guy who plays video games. He's a little lazy, and his childhood friend Sumika has been in love with him for years, which he completely fails to notice. And then, one morning, he wakes up to find a girl he's never seen before, sleeping in his bed. Her name is Maya Mitsurugi. She is elegant, wealthy, a little socially oblivious, and she's absolutely convinced that she and Takeru are destined to be together. From that point on, she basically moves into his house, enrolls in his school, and chaos ensues. What follows is a romantic comedy, a genuinely funny, heartfelt, well-written romantic comedy. Takeru navigates school life, club activities, sports festivals, and the increasingly chaotic dynamic between the two girls competing for his attention, Sumika and Maya. Here's the thing, playing Extra, you would have no idea what kind of story Muv-Luv actually is. You're inclined to believe that this is just your bog standard slice of life anime. I mean, it looks and feels comfortable. It's fun. The characters are charming. You laugh, you get invested, you spend hours with these people. And that is completely intentional. Extra is building something, it is making you care. It's making you care for the characters themselves, and that's what makes this entire trilogy so brilliant. And then, Takeru wakes up again. Same bedroom, same morning routine, except something is wrong. The house next door, Sumika's house, is gone. replaced by rubble and overgrown weeds. He steps outside, and the town he knew is a ruin. The streets are empty, the sky is different. He walks to his school. The building is still there, but it has been converted into a military base. This is unlimited, and everything has changed. Takeru has been transported, or as they say, isekai'd, into a parallel world. A world that looks like his, but has been at war for decades. A war against alien creatures called the Beta, beings of extraterrestrial origin, which are adversaries of the human race. These creatures invaded Earth in the 1960s, and by the time our story takes place, they have consumed most of Eurasia. Humanity is losing badly. The girls from his old life are still here. Maya, Kei, Sumika, all of them are here. But they're not the same. They're soldiers, cadets in the Imperial Japanese Army, training to pilot giant combat mechs called tactical surface fighters to fight the Beta on the front line. And Takeru, with no military experience and no idea how any of this works, has to figure out his place in this world. Unlimited takes everything you hold loved in extra, the characters, the relationships, the warmth, and transplants them into something completely different. A military science fiction survival story with high stakes and genuine danger. It expands the world, it builds the lore, it asks harder questions, but without spoiling anything. It ends in a way that makes one thing absolutely clear. This was just the set. Now, this is the one. I will try my best to avoid spoiling key moments, but please bear with me. Alternative begins with Takeru waking up again, but this time back at the very start. Back in his own world, his own bedroom, the same morning that Extra began. 3 years have passed for him. He remembers everything from Unlimited. He knows. He knows that if he does nothing, the nightmare will unfold, and the fate that awaits everyone he holds so dear. The thing that makes this so interesting is that Takeru cannot return to the original world. He realizes that it is impossible for him to return to his original world, the extra world. He's stuck here, and if he does nothing, he's just going to keep on looping. So he makes a choice. He goes back to the military base, to the cadets, and this time he's going to do something about it. He's going to change the future. What follows is one of the most emotionally brutal, relentlessly intense, and ultimately transcendent stories ever committed to the medium. Alternative does not hold back. The Pizza are not dramatic anime villains. They are a force of nature, mindless, vast, terrifying in a way that genuinely feels alien. The battles are chaotic and devastating. People die. People you know, people you spend hours getting into love. In Extra. This might be the first time I've genuinely felt this intense feeling that I used to feel while playing video games or watching dramatic movies as a child. The story explores what it means to fight a war you might not be able to win, what it costs, the people who fight it, and the weight of sacrifice. The question of whether one person's will, one person's refusal to give up can actually change anything. Takeru is no longer the lazy, directionless guy from Extra. He carries 3 years of trauma, grief, and purpose. Watching him grow into someone who can bear that weight, and watching the people around him either break or rise, is absolutely devastating in the best way possible. And the reason it hits as hard as it does is because you played Extra. Because you knew these people when they were laughing at a sports school festival, or because you remember what normal felt like. Alternative earns every single emotional beat because the series built a foundation under them. This is what Muv-Luv does that almost nothing else does. It takes you somewhere warm and familiar and then uses that warmth as a weapon. Let's talk about why this series stands apart even on a technical and artistic level. The soundtrack is extraordinary. Age commission, sweeping orchestral tracks, intense combat music, and some of the most emotionally precise insert songs you'll find in any visual novel. The music in Alternative in particular does a lot of the heavy lifting. Certain tracks have become iconic in the community purely because of the moments they're attached to. The writing is tense and detailed. Muv-Luv Alternative goes deep on military tactics, geopolitics, quantum physics, and philosophy, but it never feels like a lecture because it's all grounded in character. The world building is meticulous. The alternate history timeline of the Beta War is fleshed out in ways that make the world feel genuinely real. The mecha design is spectacular. The tactical surface fighters are also based on real fighter jets like the F-22, the Su-37, the Mitsubishi F-15, reimagined as humanoid combat units. The visual language of the mechs and the battles is striking and distinctive. The art direction across the trilogy, across more than a decade of updates and versions, has aged remarkably well, especially in the remastered editions available today. But here's the most important thing. What makes Muv-Luv special is not any single element. It is the sum of all of them, applied to a structure that is almost never attempted and even more rarely executed this well. It is a story that trusts you. It trusts you to sit through something comfortable before it pulls the floor out. It trusts you to carry the emotional weight, and it rewards you completely. It rewards your trust completely. So, should you read Muv-Luv? If you have any tolerance for visual novels, or if you've ever wanted to try one and weren't sure where to start, yes, absolutely yes. Start with Extra. Don't skip it. Don't read summaries, don't read spoilers, don't search for anything related to the series, and go in as blind as possible. Let the series do what it was designed to do. It will take time. The full trilogy is long, we're talking 140 hours if you read everything. But every hour serves a purpose. Extra is not filler. Unlimited is not a detour. They're both essential. The payoff in Alternative is not the kind of thing you can get from a summary video. It has to be built, and once it lands, it will land. You will understand immediately why this series has sat at the top of every ranking list for 20 years. Muv-Luv is not the most famous story ever told, but it might be the best one you haven't read yet. And trust me, I used to hate visual novels before this, but now, I don't think anything I can ever read again will ever come close to the amount of raw emotions I felt reading this trilogy.